Hi, everybody. My name is Leslie Pyle, and I'm the founder of HireMyMom.com. And today I'm excited to have an old friend that I've met online many years ago, Elayne Fluker, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her business and what she does.
Hi, Leslie. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. As Leslie said, we've known each other for a few years now, and she was also on my podcast, Support is Sexy, maybe, oh my gosh, maybe 2 years or so ago. So make sure you check out that episode. I'll have to give you the link, Leslie, so you can hear about her. But I am host of the Support is Sexy podcast, where I feature over 500 at this point, women entrepreneurs all around the world who share their journeys about being and becoming entrepreneurs, but also how support played an important role in their lives and in their journey. So that's something that I'm very big on, this idea of asking for and accepting support, especially for us as ambitious women, which most entrepreneur women are. Actually, most women are, right? We're all ambitious. So that's what I talk about. And then I also have a book coming out next year around this idea of getting support called Get Over I Got It. So I call it I Got It syndrome, right? So when someone offers us support, first thing we say is, I got it. So that's what that book is about.
Awesome. And you said it's coming out in May?
May 11th, 2021.
Very exciting. I'm super excited for that. So you'll have to let me know when it's launching, and maybe we can do something else to help you get the word out.
Absolutely. There you go. You heard Leslie say it. It's on the record. Excellent.
Okay. So how did you get your start as an entrepreneur?
Oh, great question. I think it's funny. I think entrepreneurship has always been in me. One of the first companies, and I will say a company that I wish I kept going up until the social media era, but it was a personal assistant agency. I used to work in, well, I still work in media, but I used to work at magazines over the years. And I was in the entertainment space, an entertainment editor. And at the time, so this is around 2005, 2006. So social media wasn't a huge thing at the time, or certainly not something where you use to reach out for resources and all the things we do with it now. So when people were looking for assistance, they used to call each other. Someone would call me and say, such and such celebrity is looking for an assistant. Do you know anybody? So I set up a whole agency, Leslie, for finding assistants for celebrities, and it was working. It was working so well. So I had that, but I was working also full time in a position in publishing. And then it kept growing. And especially out in LA at the time, people used to have assistants in their home and that kind of thing. But my career kept progressing in publishing. And eventually, after a couple of years, I decided, not to take any new clients, let those finish whatever term they had with the assistants they were working with, and not keep the business going. If I had known then that I could potentially sell that business, and people are like, oh my gosh, and it's celebrities. I still today have the confidentiality thing in my head, so I never reveal who they are, but they're all big celebrities that who are doing even better than they were in 2006. So right. There's that. But I just, so all that to say, I had that entrepreneurial bug in me even back then. But at the time, I had my career. I'd been in my career for 20 years at that point, 2096, 10 years. Now it's been 20 years. And but it was in 2014, I think it was 2014, I was working at Martha Stewart at the time as an editor there, editorial manager there. And this idea to create this platform at the time for women of color to really see themselves in a positive way, to create series and produce videos. Video was very big. Then was an idea that I had that was just an urging for me. And it's something that I had started again 2 years before when I was still working full time. I just decided to take the leap. That's when I took the leap really full time as an entrepreneur. Made a lot of mistakes, of course, bumped my head several times and still do, but learning along the way. And then over time, it evolved to where we are today, which we could talk about.
Yes. Yeah. So you were telling me that the book that you wrote, the I Got It Syndrome, Getting Over It, evolved sort of from your podcast. So tell us, what does I Got It Syndrome mean? And what is your solution?
Yeah, so I started the Support is Sexy podcast in 2016, again, because I wanted to hear from other entrepreneurs like yourself, like me, especially women entrepreneurs, just about their journeys, because I knew everyone wasn't doing the big launch over the weekend where they made $1 million, right? Those are the stories, at least I was hearing about on podcasts. I'm like, where are the people who not even struggle, but just, you go through it as an entrepreneur when you're creating something new. So that was the thing, and really finding out again how these women use support or receive support or got to to know support during their journeys. And one of the things I found is, especially as ambitious women, we tend to, the first response, even maybe if we think about it, we accept the support, but usually the first response, entrepreneur, whatever, mom, working woman, whatever you are, I got it. No, it's okay. I got it. No, no, I got it. And in the book and in conversations, I even say, just think about, even if you're at the grocery store, you're walking out to your car, the person at the grocery store whose job it is to help you to your car with your groceries says, hey, can I give you a hand with that? I got it. And it's like, some people say, well, what if I do have it? Do you have to get it? Can you not just be open to the idea of getting support and getting the practice of letting the universe show up for you, to talk about the woo side a little bit. But I just want women to really get into this habit of knowing that, as I say in the book and otherwise, is having it all doesn't mean doing it all alone. And I think as women, we've been conditioned to think it has to look like, again, now with social media especially, it has to look like I'm doing it all myself. I've accomplished this on my own. Or if it doesn't look like that, it doesn't count when it relates to business or career achievement, anything like that. So I really am trying to shift that mindset around this idea of support and really see it as a superpower as opposed to a weakness.
Ah, okay. So why do you think women struggle with it?
I think because we've been really conditioned about this idea of doing it all ourselves. I have a conversation with one woman, Dr. Zoe Shaw, in the book about this idea of, there was a time when, of course, women weren't allowed to work, or maybe it was more, it was allowed, but also just the times that we were in, women weren't necessarily working outside of the household. Well, now most women do work outside of the household, but the other responsibilities and all the other things that were there don't just go away. Not that there aren't men or partners or other significant others who don't show up as well. But I think for us as women, especially, we've been conditioned, if not, it's already in us to want to take care of everyone, to take care of the home, to nurture, to do all of those things. And then all the additional things that we see on social media or in our lives, or just the opportunities, just some of it's just opportunities. It's not even trying to keep up with anybody else and those kind of things. We want to, as I say, have it all. And I know there's a lot of discussion about, can we really have it all? Which I think you can, but it's defining what all looks like for you, right? But I think for a lot of us, to answer your question, all look like what everyone else says is the all. I have to have the kids, I have to be married, I have to have the perfect job, my house has to look like this, it has to be clean at all times. It means all these other things that we've fallen in line with, that I think it's changing, the conversation is changing. But then again, going back to this idea of, and if I don't have it all and do it all myself, it doesn't even count, you know? So I'm trying to really shift that mindset to say, even if you're on top of the world and doing your thing, and most of the women, all of the women, I would say, who are on top of the world got there with support. We might not hear them talk about it as much, but one of the things I always say is even Oprah has Gail. So everybody needs somebody.
Yes. And there's just something in a lot of us, I think, that hates to ask for help or support. We think we're supposed to do it all on our own for some reason. And
yeah,
so,
well,
go ahead.
thing I was just going to say, sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say, but even think about from a society standpoint, at least here in the US, women still get paid less than men. There are still a lot of things that are in place in the system that we're all working to change, obviously, that make us say, well, if I can't prove that I do this myself, I might not seem worthy. I might not seem, eligible for the position, or again, with whether it's moms or whatever, I might not seem perfect enough for my kids' school, or I might not, if I don't bake the cookies myself, they won't say, all the other things, all different parts of our lives, right? If I pick the cookies up from the bakery and someone knows that I didn't take time to make them, I don't know if that, I don't have children, so please correct me. Don't lash me in the comments, but correct me if I'm wrong. But I do have friends, I have a lot of nieces and nephews and babies in my life. And they talk about these kind of concerns, like, oh my gosh, or I didn't make practice, or I didn't, soccer practice, or I didn't do this. It's like most of us, you can't do it all, actually. You have it all, again, defining your all, but trying to do it all and do it all yourself, it's exhausting, right?
It really is. Yes. And there's no shame in asking for help or having a team to support you. And I learned that the hard way, because there was a time when I was trying to do it all myself. And now I look back and I thought, why in the world would I try to do it all myself? Like, that's why they have, part-time childcare helpers or nannies or house cleaners or virtual assistants or social media. I mean, there's so many things that you can get support today, even many, many years ago as well. But it's sometimes getting over that, like you're saying, that mindset, that block.
What was it for you? Do you feel like that finally made you say, why am I doing it like this? There's a better way.
I think realizing that I was stretching myself too far and the things that I either was not good at or didn't enjoy, why keep doing them?
Right.
Right? When
Hmm.
someone else enjoys that and would love the opportunity to be paid to take that off of your plate. So,
Right. And I think what you said about being stretched too, another thing that I emphasize is this idea is not just, as I talked about, sort of the woo woo perspective of being open to support and how it shows up for you and knowing that it's abundantly available for you. But also on the other side of that, this is how not accepting support, trying to do it all yourself, stretching too far for whatever that looks like for you. A lot of us as women end up feeling unfulfilled. We end up feeling stress, anxiety, it leads to depression, and unfortunately it leads to a higher rate of suicide for women who are in that position or who feel like there's no support of those kinds of things out there. So there are some very real ramifications of not being open to this idea of I deserve support. Support is there for me. And a lot of women that I talk to, whether it's coaching or just even friends that I talk to, say once they kind of start thinking about it, that's why this mantra, if you will, support is sexy. I said, just think support is sexy. Support is sexy. Everyone wants to get next to something sexy, right? Not
right.
sexual. It's just a sexy apartment, a sexy vacation.
Yeah.
Support is sexy too. They
Right.
say they realize how much it was already around them. A lot of times people are offering us support. It's not that no one's offering, right? It's that we're so used to, again, saying, I got it and pushing it away. So, be conscious of how that's affecting your life. Are you having trouble sleeping? Do you have aches and pains that might be caused by stress and doing things by yourself? Do you have anxiety? Are you angry at your partner or your kids all the time because you feel like you're doing it alone? Well, are you really choosing to do it alone, or are you really doing it alone?
Right. And I always think of, the whole balance of, am I giving my proper focus if you are married to your spouse, to your children, to your faith, to your business? Like, you
Mhm.
can't give everything all of your attention. Some areas you need to outsource, find support, whatever it might be that works best for you.
That's right. And I think that's the key, what you just said, Leslie, what works best for you and really doing an honest assessment of yourself and what you're doing. And if it's working, if it's in alignment with what the things that really matter to you. I went to a conference years ago. This was actually, the year 2008, I believe it was. And I was working at ivillage.com at the time, which is now part of NBC. And the CEO was speaking at an event. And of course, unfortunately, as when women speak at events or wherever, people always ask, how do you balance? How do you find balance? I just feel like they never ask men that question. But she had a great answer that really stayed with me. She said, you have to decide what matters and what doesn't matter. If you decide that it matters, then it has to matter a lot. If you decide that it shouldn't matter, that it doesn't matter, then it shouldn't matter at all.
Mhm.
So I just remember that from years ago, just sort of deciding what matters. And the same thing as we've said here about having it all. If you decide that it matters that you're there for soccer practice, or you
Yeah.
decide that it matters that you're there for dinner, or you decide that it matters that whatever the other thing is, then
Mhm.
make it matter. You got to leave the meeting on time. You got to turn off the computer or whatever that looks like today in 2020. If you decide that it doesn't matter, if you say, you know what, I can't make soccer practice because that's at 3 o'clock,
Mhm.
but it's important to me to be home for dinner.
Mhm.
Soccer practice can't matter. Like you can't stress about it by don't matter. Obviously it matters to your
Right.
child, of course, but just as an example of really getting clear. So I say, do that assessment of what really matters to you right now, what's in alignment with what's important to you. And the other things, like you said, either outsource it. There's all kinds of ways to get support. So not to say just throw those things to the side, but
Right.
how can you get support there?
Yes, absolutely. So, what is your tip on how to ask for help?
Yeah, I say one of the things to make sure that you remember actually is the word help. I use that sort of an acronym for how to remember how to get to ask for and to get support. So the H, as we've talked about, having it all doesn't mean doing it all alone, knowing that support is available for you. The
Yeah.
E is to make empowered asks. So, and ask empowering questions too. So not, why am I such an idiot? I can't figure this out. Or, oh no, why did I do this again and miss soccer practice or whatever it
Mhm.
is. It's more so, how can I get support? Who are the people who can potentially help me? How can I outsource this? Those are empowering questions, not questions that make you feel bad or that are self-critical, right? Then
Mhm.
the L, I say, is letting go of the how, and then also living that question. So living the question is something I learned from Patricia Moreno, who was a guest on an early episode of the podcast. And she talked about this idea of living in this space of just, I don't know the answer, but this is the question. I'm just going to live this question, which is hard. I'll speak for myself, Leslie, hard for me to do for sure, because we want to know the answers.
Right.
This is especially, as an entrepreneur, as a driven woman, ambitious woman, we want the answers. But sometimes you just have to say, this is the question I'm living right now. I'm going to be open to receiving it. And then I say the other part of that L is letting go of the how, because you never know exactly how it's going to work out. You can have a plan, you can have an idea, you can talk to friends to come up with a strategy or whatever that is for the answer, but then just sort of let it go, see how it happens as you continue to move. And then the P is believing in the possibilities. So the opportunities, again, for support will show up in ways that you never imagined. So having it all doesn't mean doing it all alone. And asking empowered questions, letting go of the how and living that question, and then believing in the possibilities.
Yes, that's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, great.
Awesome.
HELP.
Yes. And just getting, a lot of it is that mindset and getting past that get stuck spot and knowing that support is sexy and it's
That's
okay
right.
to ask for help.
That's right. It's okay. You should ask for help. Help is available for you and you deserve it. That's what I want women to know too. You deserve support. Look at all that you're doing. Probably whenever you're watching this, look at all you've done today and all you have planned for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? You deserve support.
That's right. Okay. So tell us about other aspects of your business, your coaching, your courses, your podcast, and how people can learn more about you, where they can find you, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, I would love if folks want to know, one of the things that's been big for me in the past year, I would say, especially I've had the business set up for some time, but really helping people, especially women entrepreneurs, share their vision or share their thoughts as thought leaders, as they're called now, but share some of their expertise and things about their business or things about how they want to help people, or even if they're leaders in companies. So I have an agency, and you can go to chicrebellion.com, CHIC Rebellion, chicrebellionmedia.com, CHIC, Chic Rebellion Media.com, and just see some of the ways that we help support women in creating content for their brands and for their vision of what they want to share with the world. I think more of us are, hopefully, and I'm happy to see, at least in my world, more of us are coming out and saying, just, this is my expertise, this is who I am, this is what I think. And there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for different voices to sort of rise to the surface for people to be able to hear what we're thinking. So that's a very important part of my business, which is essentially ghostwriting and personal branding. It's not just myself. I have other folks who work with me who have worked for some of the top publications in the world, but creating content, writing books for folks, and that kind of thing. So that's a part of my business I'm excited about, that seems to be expanding this year, especially. And I think, again, because maybe people are more reflective and thinking a lot more about where they stand in the world or what they're passionate about. It's not even about taking a certain stance, what they're passionate about and what they want to share and their expertise. So that's something that I'm excited about, in addition to obviously the book and the podcast and things that I'm doing on my side.
Yes. And so tell us your other website. You have one for your podcast?
My website for my podcast is supportissexy.com.
Okay.
And you can go there, see the podcast, and find out even more about me and everything else that I'm up to.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Elayne. It's been a delight having you and learning more about what you're up to and all the ways that you're supporting women entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Excited to see you again. Thank you.
Yes.